rails, trails, and sails. Hello, my name is Tim Little. I am a nighttime landscape artist living on Cape Cod on the east coast of Massachusetts, and this is Cape Cod After Dark, a web series devoted to helping you find great places on Cape Cod to visit, as illustrated through some of the photographs I've taken there. On today's episode, we're going to be visiting a location that most of us try to get to as quickly as possible, and when we get there, we try to get past it as fast as we can, which sounds like a conundrum. What place on the Cape would warrant that kind of treatment? Well, if you're someone who travels over the bridges during the summer season, then you know that a big frustration point is the Cape Cod Canal. But forget about the commuting side of it. On the southern end of the canal is a beautiful piece of architecture. It is the Cape Cod Railroad Bridge, and that's where we're going to visit today. I'm going to give you some photographs from that location, and I'm going to tell you about how you can schedule your visit to watch interesting ship traffic traverse the canal. But first, a little history. The Cape Cod Canal Railroad Bridge is a vertical lift bridge constructed between 1933 and 1935. The main span measures a whopping 544 feet. At the time of its completion, it was the biggest bridge of its type in the world. But 20 years later, it would lose that title to New Jersey's Arthur Kill Vertical Lift Bridge, spanning 558 feet. It got beat by just 14 feet, folks. This railroad bridge has 135 feet of clearance with a total height of 271 feet. It takes about 2.5 minutes to lift or lower the center span, which weighs 2,200 tons. An 1,100-ton counterweight hangs inside each tower. A single track allows access to rail services such as the Cape Cod Dinner Train, the seasonal Cape Flyer, and the infamous Trash Train. On the Cape side, the Bell Road parking lot at the foot of the bridge marks the beginning of a biking and walking trail, leading you past the Bourne and Sagamore bridges and onward to the north end of the canal. The mainland side is accessible via the park at the Buzzards Bay Recreational Area, which also features a rail trail and hosts the nearby railroad station, which is the launching point for the popular Polar Express train during the holidays. When I was a kid, coming down to the Cape with my parents, when we got to the canal, I would always look for the railroad bridge. Coming over the Bourne Bridge, looking to the south, you could see the railroad bridge, and I was always excited to get to that point because that's when I knew my vacation was about to start, and I looked forward to it all year round. But in all the years that I had visited the Cape, not once had I ever gotten the opportunity to see that bridge down. I didn't even know it was still active, to be honest with you. Every time we showed up on the Cape and when we left, it looked exactly the same, which was kind of a bummer as a kid. And I'd spend the whole trip on the way down getting excited about whether or not that bridge was going to be down. It took moving down here and several visits before I got to capture that particular events. And this picture I had taken in 2010. This is the cover of my book, Cape Cod Nights. And like many pictures that I go out and take, a lot of it is timing and some of it is accidental. In this particular case, I parked at the end of Bell Road. There are two parking lots on the Cape Cod side that are very easily accessible. It's, I don't know, maybe a 3 or 4 minute drive as you come down from the Bourne Bridge Rotary. And you park and you have access to the beginning of a really nice trail that goes all the way to the end of the canal. You can walk really as far as you want. It's a few miles, 5 miles or so. And you'll go underneath the Bourne Bridge. And on that particular night, I had decided that I was going to go down and shoot the Bourne Bridge from a particular angle and get the moonrise over it. So my idea was to park at Bell Road, which I did. And I started to walk. It was a little bit early for the type of shooting that I usually do. I don't usually do any sunset or sunrise photography. But as I walked, I heard a train horn, which told me that the bridge was probably going to go down. So I turned around as I was walking, and sure enough, I spotted this. Now, you would think I would have heard the bridge going down, but if you've never been there before when that event has happened, it's very quiet. It is extremely quiet. You have to be fairly close to hear those pulleys and motors running. So I thought, hey, this is the opportunity that I didn't know I wanted. I got the camera equipment out. I set everything up real quick. I didn't know how long I would have before the train came. I didn't want to get the train going over the bridge because I didn't want the streaking lights in my shot. I wanted the bridge to just be down. And also the reflection. So the big thing for me on this image was the lucky timing of having the tide changing. When you get to the point in the tide cycle where it is about to change direction, so the flow in the canal is about to change, it has to come to a stop. And there's a very brief opportunity to get these mirror-like reflections in the water. And sure enough, this was that moment. So you have the bridge down, you have a pretty nice sunset with a few feathered clouds in there, which always helps. And of course, you had this beautiful reflection. So I had to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're thinking about going down there to see what's going on, there are two really great times to get down there. One is when a train is going to go by, and two is when maybe some large ship traffic is going to traverse the canal. There are ways that you can figure out about when that's going to happen. So in the summer, the Cape Cod dinner train will go across the bridge. It's part of their dinner package. So there's a railroad line that comes down right along the canal, goes right over the bridge, and the train will stop and everybody on board will get to enjoy their meal and also have a brief opportunity to see what it's like to be on that bridge and really see a vantage point of the canal that not a lot of people get to see. So if you check their schedule, you can get a pretty good idea about when they're going to be in the area so that you can catch that bridge going down. One thing that's a heck of a lot easier to spot down there is the marine traffic. So all the ships going back and forth along the canal. It is still very heavily traveled. And if you time it right, you could see anything from a cargo ship to a car carrier to even a cruise ship, which I can tell you is both impressive and scary when you watch it go under one of these bridges. It looks like if you were on the cruise ship, you could just hold your hand up and you could just touch the bottom level of that railroad bridge overpass. I mean, it's just amazing that these boats are able to get back and forth. And there is a way to track what's coming in and out of the canal and about at what time. Every boat has what is essentially a transponder that is sending out a signal. And thanks to the internet, you too can go and check out what's going on and when. So the website that I use is called marinetraffic.com, and it gives you a good representation of all the boat traffic all around the Cape, but you can really use this anywhere in the country. And you can zoom right down onto the canal, and it'll show you vessels that are moored down there and vessels coming in and out and the speeds. So you can really get a good idea in planning. Is it worth making the trip for? Is there a cruise ship coming? Is there something that's going to impress the kids? And you can even use it to look at other areas. Let's say you're going down to visit Woods Hole and you want to get an eye on the steamship coming out of Woods Hole and going by Nopska Lighthouse. You could use it for that purpose too. So it's actually a really useful website. And again, you can use it just about anywhere in the country and internationally. From a photography standpoint, this location is never-ending opportunities, in my opinion. The conditions are constantly changing down there, whether it's a clear night or a cloudy night, low clouds, high clouds, fog, no fog. You're going to get something different any time of the day you go down there, even if you went down there every day at the same time. I've been down there at Christmas before, shot on the mainland side. They decorate the gazebo. I've gone down on really foggy nights, which creates this mysterious sort of effect with the backlights down there. I've been down there on nights where I got access to places like that, which I can't really say much more about, but let's just say it was legal. I've gotten the Big Dipper over the top of the bridge, which is always a fun shot when you get a constellation to fit into your composition, especially a recognizable one. And I've done some shooting from the grounds of Mass Maritime, like in this shot where you can align the Bourne Bridge just right. And of course, at 10 o'clock, they boot you out, so you have to be good and leave. And the cruise ship. Cruise ships will light paint themselves as they go along the canal, and this is about a 20-second shot. Fireworks during the celebration they had a few years ago. Again, so many opportunities. I will say that there is one opportunity that you're really not going to be able to take advantage of down there, and for 99.9% of the people out there, it's not going to matter a ton. But for night photographers like me, it's kind of a bummer. And that's the astro landscape side of it, the Milky Way. It's too bright. It's just too bright down there. You can see there's lights on the bridge. There's lights along the canal. There's a lot of sodium vapor, that orange lighting nearby, which lends itself nicely in other compositions. But when you're trying to get that really Milky Way dark sky, the settings you need to use in order to accomplish that are not organically going to work. Yes, you could go down and shoot that and do a bunch of Photoshop and add a Milky Way later if you want to be a Photoshop person. But if you want to be an organic photographer and shoot what you see, that's just not going to be an option. Unless there's a power outage. Several years ago, I was driving over the Bourne Bridge and all the lights on the Bourne Bridge were out. I don't know why, but gosh, I wish I had my camera equipment on that night because I could have gotten a great Milky Way shot. But it was at home. And the lesson there is that you always should keep your camera equipment with you. Because guess what? The best opportunities are going to happen when the universe knows you don't have your camera equipment. Well, there is our visit to the Cape Cod Canal Railroad Bridge. I hope you found that less painful than trying to traverse one of the other bridges on a Friday night in the summer, or a Sunday afternoon, or Monday on a holiday weekend. That said, some of the images I featured in this episode I will be discussing in further detail in a future edition of Cape Cod After Dark. And we will be visiting 2 other places along the canal, including both bridges, so you can see other great places to stop at the next time you're in the area. As always, if there is an image from my portfolio that you would like to learn more about, please let me know in the comments. And if I choose it for a future episode, I'm going to send you a free 8x10 print. Hey, if you like this video, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell to be notified of future content. Thanks for watching.